we welcome to the stage Mr. Rajon Lewis.
All right, man. Give it up for Brandon, man. We can do better than that. Give it up for Brandon. That young man is 22 years old. I'm going to say that again. That young man is 22 years old. If that doesn't encourage us, I don't know what will. We have to support the Brandon Challengers of the world. I'm going to say that again. We have to support the Brandon Challengers of the world. When our young people step up, we got to show them that we're here. We cannot leave them abandoned. We cannot leave them to their own devices. Because though they have the energy, sometimes they need that wisdom. And those of us who've been here before, we have that. Those of us that have marched before, we have that. Let's make sure these young people have guidance. Let's make sure they have voices. That's important. Now, I want to thank everybody for being here today. This is a very important day for America. Not just Charleston, America. Million Man Marches. 1995. There was a call put out. That call went to the nation, and it said, men from everywhere, meet me in D.C. And the men showed up. The men showed up. We can't forget that. I look out here and I see men, and I love that. But I see women, and I love that. Yes, give it up for the ladies. I know this isn't a club. Give it up for the ladies. I see children. Give it up for the children. But I wanted to talk to y'all about something that sort of been weighing on my heart as this whole thing's been going on from the very beginning. There's a common phrase that I've heard become popular. I am not, what is it? I am not my what? Ancestors. I am not my ancestors. I am not my ancestors. This phrase has made its way from Minneapolis, Minnesota, to Los Angeles, California, to Charleston, South Carolina. I am not my ancestors. When I think of that phrase, I first think about the context in which young people are using it. What are they saying when they say, I am not my ancestors? Context matters. What they're saying is, we are not afraid to fight, physically, if necessary, to achieve their goals. See, the way history is told, during slavery, during the Jim Crow era, and as early as the early 2000s, late in the early 2000s, our ancestors just took it. Okay. Young people are also saying that they are unapologetic in their demand for freedom. They are demanding that monuments to hatred and oppression be removed. They are demanding that legislation that is not rooted in equality and equity for all people be changed. They demand that there be a reformation of law enforcement, which is all too often, for the last 400 plus years, had their literal and figurative knees on the necks of black people in this country. I understand what they mean when they say, I am not my ancestors. But then I have to think about who my ancestors were and what they came through to make us possible. Let me tell you about my ancestors. Our ancestors braved being captured, chained, and tortured, and then crammed into a disease-infected infested ship for 6 weeks, headed to a country that they'd never seen, where they spoke a language that they'd never heard. Our ancestors worked in the harshest conditions known to humanity. They were whipped, beaten, mutilated, separated from their families, sold, raped, and murdered. Our ancestors, after emancipation, built their own cities with thriving communities, thriving economies, only to have it taken away from them by government-supported bombings, race riots, and by people who hated them simply based on the color of their skin. Let me tell you about my ancestors. Our ancestors faced every atrocity that one could face so that we could stand here and say, I am not my ancestors. Again, I'm forced to remember who my ancestors were and what they came through to make us possible. Our ancestors marched for us, knowing that the literal noose of Jim Crow could be around their necks at any time. And they did this without masks. They did this without hoodies. They did this without white allies who were willing to stand in front of them and take a brunt of the punishment. They did that. Our ancestors were hosed, attacked by vicious dogs, and jailed while singing, "We shall overcome." Just to fight for our right to be able to exercise our constitutional amendment, a constitutional right to vote in this country. Our ancestors staged sit-ins in places all over this country. During these sit-ins, they were beaten, spat on, and called all kinds of denigrating names. They were jailed for having the audacity to fight against a system that said that they should not be served because of the color of their skin. One of the most famous sit-ins in this country's history took place minutes from where we are standing, at the S.H. Crest building on King Street. If you don't believe me, go down there and check it out. It's right by the Apple store. There is a placard. Our ancestors organized a movement so large and so aggressive that no one could ignore it. More than 250,000 people went to Washington, D.C. to tell legislators that you will not do our children the way that you've done us. And you will not do them the way that you did people before us. Remember that our ancestors were taking these actions when they were also young. They were college students. They were high school students. But they were also full of rage. They were also fed up. They were also demanding results. All for us to say, I am not my ancestors. Why does this matter, you may ask? It matters because without understanding the shoulders on which we stand, there is absolutely no way that we can fully appreciate how far we've come. We must recognize that over 400 years, our ancestors paved the way to make this moment possible. I love this moment for our people. I love seeing faces lit up with pride and hope for a brighter tomorrow because of choices that were made today. I love seeing our youth more socially active than they've been since the 1970s. I love watching the changes that are coming as you, the young people, are standing up and making your voices heard. But the one thing that I would advise against is thinking that we made it here on our own. Amen. It's because of the ancestors and their sacrifice of those who came before us that we can proudly walk down the streets of downtown Charleston, free from the fear of the KKK or any group that may seek to harm us for having the audacity to push for changes that will make life better for our children. It's because of their sacrifice that we've learned that sometimes it is necessary to fight back physically to protect our place in the world. But don't you for 1 second think that our ancestors were weak and didn't fight back. Our ancestors were stronger than we'll ever understand. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We stand on the shoulders of giants. So my ask of you is this: embrace your power. As you, the next generation of leaders, begin to make decisions as to how to make this world a better place, remember that you are not the first, nor will you be the last to engage in this fight. Ask your parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents about their experiences in this fight, and thank them for paving the way for you. Let them know that we have not forgotten their contributions in this nearly 500-year fight for equality. Learn from their examples and improve on their shortcomings where possible. Stay active in your communities. Fight every battle that you deem to be yours with the fearlessness and zeal that you brought so far, knowing that you are not alone because your ancestors fight right along beside you. To my brothers, I want you to look to the left and to the right of you. You will notice that to the left and to the right of you, there are beautiful black women. Women who have fought alongside us the entire way. Women who fought for us when we couldn't fight for ourselves. Women who were on the front lines every day on our behalf. Let's make sure that we are giving that same energy that we're talking about protesting when it comes to protecting them. When they are disrespected, we must stand up and speak about it speak against it the same way they do when we are disrespected. When they are killed, we have to stand up. We have to remember their names. Don't let this be a moment that passes, but instead, let it be a spark that ignites an internal flame for the fight for injustice in our world, in our nation. Stay in the fight and find more inventive ways to fight. I'm almost done, I promise.
Keep going, brother.
I would be remiss if I did not state the importance of not only being active in the streets in terms of protest, but also making sure that this energy transfers to the polls in November. We have the chance to change the course of our nation in November by hitting the polls en masse. This extends far beyond the presidential election, but also the election of local and state representation. Like solicitor, vote for Vin Pogue. Know that your life is more directly impacted by the decisions of your local town council than that of the President of the United States. Get educated, get involved, and vote. I will not tell you who to vote for, other than Vin Pogue. He didn't pay me, I promise. I can only state the importance of learning the issues and voting your interest. This is an actionable step that we can take to impact change. This is also something that our ancestors fought for. In closing, I want to tell you that I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're here. I'm proud to fight alongside you and provide any support that I can. We all have a role to play, and by your action, you will have proven that this generation is not anything to take lightly. I see you. Also, I am proud of the rich history of us as a people. And I want to say this. I am my ancestors.
That's right.
I am what my ancestors bled for. I am what my ancestors prayed for. I am what my ancestors died for. I am my ancestors. You are our ancestors. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams come true. Thank you.